park on the right spot? I can't.
Yeah, I got a timer for 30 again. That's cool.
Yes, that's fine. And then
You're going to 9 seconds.
Niana is here, so she might be coming in. I'll just
All
talk
right.
about that. All right. Boom shakalaka. Okay. Hello and welcome. My name is Jade, and I'm the host of Babe, the Broke Ass Entrepreneur podcast, where we discuss what it's like behind the scenes being an entrepreneur, where it's not just the glitz and the glamour. We also talk about those times when we are in the bathroom, sliding down the wall, crying. But we also gonna drop some gems. So today I have Jay Alexander with us, and I would like you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me, Jade. I'm Jay Alexander. I host Coffee Chats with Jay Alexander as well, where we get real and we have real conversations about things that are really bothering people in their life. I've been at a point in my life where I felt stuck before, and I wanted to create a space where people could feel like they had a power circle to really come together and really feel motivated.
Yeah, and so Coffee Chat, like, what's up with the name?
Yeah, so, I originally started my career in corporate America, working at Deloitte Consulting. So I've been in boardrooms, I've been, having coffee chats informally and things of that nature, and it never really felt what I would say informal. So, but
Okay, well, hold on. Let me, because I feel like we're being real formal, so let me just go ahead. Go ahead. All right. I want to be a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it never really felt. It never felt informal. You always had a goal and a task coming into it, but you were supposed to make it feel like it was a natural conversation,
Right.
but it wasn't. And so I wanted to create a space for people like myself during that time period that, hey, I didn't know where I was going, necessarily what I was trying to do, but I was hoping to get something out of this conversation. And so, hey, let's take it back around and let's have those coffee chats, but let's do them the way that we actually wanted them to go, which is we want them to feel authentic and leave with something valuable.
Right. So not something where we're like, here's the checklist, and when you're done, you have to go complete this task.
Right.
Just something natural. So, okay, I love that idea. And I know when we have our conversations, I guess we have a lot of coffee chats.
We do.
I feel
We
like,
do.
yeah, we definitely do. So,
What is your favorite type of coffee, by the way? I don't think we ever
my
talked-
favorite coffee?
Yeah.
So real coffee drinkers don't really like me because I'm putting all types of extra. I mean, if there's not caramel in there, if there's not whipped cream on top, if there's not sugar in it, I don't want to drink it. So,
Okay.
and it has to be cold.
It has to be
I
cold.
don't drink hot coffee.
Don't drink hot coffee.
I think it's disgusting.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. So sometimes I do more so lattes when I know it's called coffee chats, but I do lattes when they're hot. But also when I'm looking for something cold, a nice just black coffee with ice and 3 squirts of sugar-free vanilla is good for me.
See, I tried black coffee one time, and I promise you, I don't smoke cigarettes, but I imagine that's what cigarette butts taste like.
Wow.
Black coffee.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry. But, yeah, it needs to be frozen. Like, even when I make coffee at home, I sit it in the freezer before I drink it because I also don't like ice.
Wow.
I don't like ice. So, coffee chat. So when you have your first episode, or maybe
Okay.
second or third or fourth or 15th or 100th, I get to come?
Of course. So we'll have our first episode in about 2 weeks.
Hey.
So I'm excited about that. We're just getting everything set up and everything going. So excited. Preparing for our first guest. You're going to be one of them. But trying to decide who our first guest would be and how to just introduce the podcast in a way that relates to everyone and where they are in their experience.
That's so cool. So I also know that I don't really want to call you a serial entrepreneur, but you have like these really innovative ideas on how to drive in more income.
Right.
How would you describe? Because you've also worked in corporate. You're in school. Talk about all the things, all of it.
Okay. So I want to start off with saying my why first. I think that's important.
Give it to us.
So when I talk about my why, my family is really important to me, and also legacy is very important to me. And not just for myself, but also for community as well. So there's no one that I look at and I say, well, hey, they're not worth my time, or you're not worth the opportunity, because everyone is. When I was in 3rd grade, I remember I had a teacher that talked down to me. She said, Jay, I told her I want to go to University of Georgia. And she looked at me, she said, you?
Ew.
You could go to Georgia? And I said, I knew after that day I was going to go to University of Georgia.
Right.
And I did. So I never wanted another kid or another person to feel unseen.
Right.
So as I went throughout my career, I wanted to just continue to create spaces and have resources to where I could help people. And so that's what my serial entrepreneurship came from. I went to UGA, majored in finance, and understood the power of finance and the power of education and understanding it. And so I wanted to not only take that for myself, but take that for others and kind of move that forward. And so what I did, I started, I bought my first house probably within 6 months of working. And so that was when I was 22. So that was about 4 or 5 years ago, or take or give a few. But but bought that, and then initially it was like, hey, I have all this space. How can I still help people? So I started renting out rooms, right? House hacking. So eventually I realized that my mortgage was paid. Eventually I realized I was making money off of that. So I was like, hey, let's do this again. And not only did I realize that, I realized the lives that I was able to change during the process. It was, and certain things were unexpected, and that's just a part of the entrepreneur journey.
Mm-hmm.
Is going through that space where you said, hey, you're just crying, you're just up, you're wondering what's gonna happen.
Right.
And but sometimes you get those little surprises along the way, right? And so one of the surprises I got, I met this gentleman. He moved in to one of my houses, and he had just went through a divorce. He said that day, if I wouldn't have given him a call, he would have been sleeping in his car.
Oh my.
And so I realized that he stayed there for 2 years. When he left, he bought his own house.
Hey.
So
you were able to help someone.
Right. And so that's what it's about. It's about entrepreneurship to me. It's about being of service and being of help.
Mm-hmm.
After that, it inspired me to buy a second house where I do the same thing. And so, and I don't just buy houses in worn out communities. I buy houses in places that I want to live in.
You
right?
luxury.
So we don't turn any corners. That means I'm bringing a designer to make sure it's designed out right. The sofa is going to be nice. The bedding is going to be nice. Everything is going to be nice. Shout out to T. She does an amazing job. She's an interior designer. But we want everything to be nice because I want them to live in a comfortable space as well as I want to. So outside of that, I also have had a transportation company as well. I had 6 trucks at one time, so dispatching company as well. When COVID came and kind of coming out of that, I had to shut that down. And so that was one of those surprising things because I remember I made my first $80,000 in 1 month.
So I want to talk about that.
Let's talk about that.
Because I remember we were both talking about how we had these months where we were outside like drug dealers, just making money.
Right.
And so you had your fleet of trucks. COVID happened, which isn't something that we can plan for. So you're like, business is booming, everything's going well.
Right.
What happened with that situation exactly?
So I was building for 2 years. I was in a relationship at the time. I was kind of frustrated by the fact that I didn't feel like I was receiving necessarily the help that I wanted to just grow the business, but still push through. And a lot of the entrepreneurship journey is just self-motivated, self-push, right? And I'm sure you can relate to that.
Uh-huh.
So got it to that point. And so when I saw $80,000 coming to the bank, I was like, wow, that's just amazing. Like, we need to repeat this every month. So the dispatching was going well. The leasing the trucks was going well. The truck driving was going well. I had good drivers. And so what happened was eventually inflation started to happen. So I don't know if you remember, but just prices started going up.
Yes.
The joke of if anyone's interested in politics, if you're familiar with politics as well, people started talking about the price of eggs, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, they went up to almost $10, $20.
Yes.
That happened in transportation too. So I think the third largest transportation company in the world ended up actually going bankrupt. So the thing is, prices went so high within the parts that it's not manageable, right? So sometimes, but that was one of those expected things. It doesn't mean that it was not worth it because I learned so much about how to systematize, how to truly tweak your model, how to bring different pieces together.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a feeling of, hey, this hurt. This is a setback.
Yep. Losing that type of income. Like I said, like my months when I was making a lot of money, but I wasn't paying attention to how much money I was making because I was making so much outside of my budget that I had.
Right.
And so when it started to dwindle, I didn't pivot immediately. I didn't even know what a pivot was. Like that wasn't where my mind frame was. Like I wasn't even thinking about, oh, I have a business. At that time, I still considered my teaching online as a side hustle. I didn't consider it my business yet. So you had that experience and you had to pivot. So what was the next move after that?
Jay, to be honest,
are you still working on it?
I'm not, but
okay.
I don't know. So like I didn't know at that moment what my next move was gonna be.
Got it.
And it took forever to be okay with that, right? Because if we're being honest, sometimes we still want to be in the last situation.
Yes, we're like, I want that back.
I want that. I've already been there. I've already done it. So I want that back.
Yeah.
So I had to realize, I had to think about, what did it mean to reclaim my power now? What did it mean to redefine myself in this space?
Right.
So that I'm in now. Not where I thought I should be,
Right.
not where I thought I would be, but where I actually am. Right? So that was the hard piece. But what I did was I stopped, I paused, I took about 2 to 3 months. And I think that's the key part about when you go through a change as an entrepreneur, is that you have to sometimes allow yourself space.
Yeah.
Allow yourself grace. Allow yourself to pause and acknowledge that change is occurring, and that all this change might not feel good or be something that you want. Right?
I love when you talk, because I just want to listen. Give yourself grace like that. Give yourself grace. Yes.
Right. We have to give ourselves grace. And so one of the quotes that I love is that God gives us grace, so we must give ourselves and each other much grace. Right? And so sometimes we forget the fact that we all have come short. Right? We all come short. And sometimes that short is not always predicted on what we've done or our output or our success. Right? Success might not be what you thought it was going to be in that situation.
That's true.
Right? I thought success was, I'm going to have 25 trucks and I'm going to go off and I'm going to be at a beach, in Bali in the next, year or so. That's what I thought when I saw that 80,000. I didn't think I was going to be shutting it down in about 6 months later. Right? So, but from that space, I realized that I had also had another, what I call issue. I had another problem. And guess what this problem was?
What's that?
I thought I was going to quit my corporate job. So not only had my business went left, but I hadn't appropriately managed my corporate career. I made sacrifices in a relationship that has also has shown up. So I've really, what I feel like, has spent my credit card and ran it up everywhere.
Yep.
And when I turn around, I feel like I have nowhere to look, and I have nowhere to go, and nobody to look at except for me.
Right.
But the question is, where do I go from here? Right? So what I did after that point, I decided that I must continue. 2, that this doesn't define me. And then 3, that I'm still capable.
Ooh. Okay.
Right.
So I'm going to ask you for some gems at the end, but you already given them. Like, keep going.
That was just the 3 that I worked with. I just started with that. And so that led me to so much more. That led me into, getting the job. I went to Morehouse School of Medicine from there, became a senior director there, helping them with innovation, Microsoft, Smart Campus, working with just City of Atlanta, helping start charter schools there. So it was just an amazing experience going there, but also still facing challenges, still running into a new leader that was I call it the hell boss. I had my first hell boss. Right? So
I've had one of those.
Most days my blood pressure was 170, and it was a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And after going through all of that, I needed that. I thought I was coming to a space where I would be accepted. And that's another thing too, is that I also realized that some places can't handle your gift in knowing when to let go.
Yes.
And so that was the other piece that I learned in that phase, was that I worked so hard. I delivered projects, finance transformation for them, delivered other things, but then still felt unappreciated.
Right.
So what do you do when you're serving in a space where you feel unappreciated?
And especially when you're serving at the capacity that you want to, you're like, I have purpose here.
Right.
I want to be here.
Right.
But you are making it hard. Like, I remember when I was out of school, all of my friends hated their jobs. They all worked in corporate. I worked in education. I loved going to work. I couldn't wait to get up and go to work and see my babies. Like, I loved my job.
Right.
Until there was a change in leadership.
Right.
We got a new principal. And I used to refer to this person as, are you familiar with Harry Potter?
Yes,
I remember the Dementors?
Yes.
How they would come and suck the soul out of you? That's what I was like, oh, here comes the Dementor. I could actually feel her energy coming down the hallway.
Wow.
And that's how I ended up quitting.
Okay.
I quit, and when I quit, I needed employment, and that's how I started my business.
So was that a thought process, or was that or was that did you just wake up and you just that morning you just quit, or did you plan for it? What did that process? Because I think everybody gets to that point, and I think most people can probably relate to this and say like, hey, we've all been at a point to where we just want to quit, right? Mm-hmm. So when we want to quit, what do you do?
I came here. I came to Atlanta for my birthday.
Right.
And that's when I was like, yeah, I'm moving to Atlanta. Like, I'm not staying in Minnesota. And I put in a 6-month notice. That's how committed I was to my position. And it wasn't the position, it was the families and the children I worked with.
Wow.
Put in 6 months notice. And I moved down here. And like one of the reasons I started my business was because the pay was so different. Like
Right.
I'd already capped out where I was at.
Right.
I couldn't make any more money.
Couldn't make any more.
And I was 24.
Wow.
I couldn't get any more money unless I became an admin and then became a superintendent.
Right.
24, they're not letting you do that.
Right.
Um,
So you felt limited.
I was there in that area,
Okay.
in the space of being a public school educator. I was,
Okay.
and I came down here and I was like, y'all starting pay is what?
Okay.
I'm like, I made that when I was in 9th grade, working at Cinnabon. Like, you gotta, it ain't no way. So I
No way.
started teaching online, and
Okay.
it just kind of snowballed from there. That's why I said I never considered it a business, because I always looked at it as a side hustle, because
Right.
that's what it was at that time.
Right.
So
So at what point did you consider it to be a business, and why?
when the IRS told me it was.
So another one of those wicked problems that I like to call, that just kind of show up and you got to deal with them, right?
Yeah, mhm.
So and I think about that as well, is that also I have this thing where the problems that are unexpected for me, I call them wicked problems. Those are the things that come up you don't expect, and it just
Yeah.
feels like you said, like they're sucking the life out of you, right?
Ooh, baby.
And so, but how do you? I guess something that I had to really figure out throughout this process is when I got the houses, even now, during Turo and starting and going into that space, I had to figure out how to balance, and I had to figure out what it meant to have work, life, home, and then also sometimes be disappointed or have things to be off balance at times. What do you feel like? We always talk about different things, but what do you feel like made the difference in helping you kind of balance, all your different responsibilities, and how did you communicate that?
For me,
Yeah, how do you communicate? How do you deal with that? Yeah.
alcohol.
You're not being completely honest now.
No,
What else?
working out.
Working out.
Yeah, we could talk about like how did we meet, but not initially meet?
Okay, so Jade is famously known as Six Pack.
Hey, I
Right.
can't see it, but it's there. Okay.
Right. So I would work out every morning. We were at the same gym called Effect Fitness, and she worked out with another trainer, and I worked out with another trainer. And my trainer would call her Six Pack, but I was always across the gym.
Yeah, we didn't work out together. We had separate trainers. My first episode was with my trainer, Justin, LBE. Check it out.
Right. Shout out to Jayson.
Yes.
Great trainer, great friend as well. So so initially we would go into the gym. I would be working out, and she would be working out, and never knew who each other were, never formally met.
Nope.
Right. And so we were at a party.
Was it New Year's?
I don't know.
I don't even know what the party. It was definitely a party, a house.
It was a house
party.
party. It was some people with Microsoft.
Yeah.
Because I know it was a lot of people from Microsoft.
Yeah.
Right. So we went and we started talking, and we eventually put it together that we both knew Jeremy, right?
Yeah.
That works out with Jayson, and then we eventually was like, I don't even know, how do we even start
Because
talking about a
we
Six
kept
Pack?
on looking at each other, and I'm like, where do I know him from? Like, I kept on trying to figure it out. And at some point, there was a game happening.
Right.
We both weren't playing the game, and we were we just end up sitting next to each other, and we were talking. That's when we realized, we both know Jeremy, but we're like, that's not the connection, though. That's not how we know each other. And then we're like, I think you said, you're like, don't they call you Six Pack? I was like, well, facts. I'm like, that's where I know you from.
Yeah.
So yeah, just kind of jump, because we're trying to figure out
Right.
where do we know, what circle is it?
Right. How are we connected?
Yeah.
And we figured it out. And then since then, it's been like a hit since.
Yeah.
Yep. And we talk all the time.
All the time.
Yes.
The number of times I've been on the phone and cried about stuff that's going on in my life, because one thing about me, like when I see my friends, I always envision their life for them.
Right.
I tell them, like, I think this is what you should be doing, because that's not my job to tell them. But when I think about you, like, I just see you as a motivational speaker.
Wow.
Like,
okay.
The number of times you have uplifted me when I was at like my lowest points, and not a damn person knew. And I'll be driving, and I'm like, I got to get off the phone because I'm trying to drive, and now I'm crying. Goodbye.
No, but I think I appreciate that. But I really, one thing that motivates me about you is that I feel like you do so much, and you do it well, and you handle it with so much grace. And, just being a mom, I think that's just amazing. That's the strongest thing, and you take it so seriously.
Oh, I do. My mother, and absolutely, I take that so serious. I handle it with grace because I drink alcohol and I slide down the wall in the bathroom privately. That's not true. That is not true. That is not how it really goes.
No, you handle everything with so much grace and so much poise, and and you're always willing to try. You're always willing to try, and you're always teaching, and you're always connecting with different people, and that's something that I think is unique about you, is that you have that from the classroom, but you can use it to connect different subjects, different people, and also be able to understand different challenges that people are going through, even if you haven't experienced it yourself. So that metacognitive intelligence, and then also that emotional intelligence that you're able to utilize, I think that is hands down your superpower.
Well, thank you. So you have your thing too. So you have, like, when we talk, sometimes I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about, because you're like the tech brain, that side of it. So how do you utilize all your skill sets? Because you have so many.
Right.
Daily, not even daily, because sometimes you got, sometimes you have to sit some of those skills off to the side. But
Right.
how do you balance all of that?
Well, sometimes it has me confused. So I will be honest with you. Like my partner all the time says, like, you have so many things, and so what thing, and so sometimes I feel bad even for liking to do and be interested in so many things. But I've had to accept that about myself, right?
Yeah.
So something else that I try to do, I'm big on prioritization, and when it comes to technology and deciding how I'm going to use it, I think we use systems and technology when it makes sense, and if you don't have to and it doesn't make sense, don't.
Right.
So, and how do I know when it makes sense? Is usually if something's inefficient. If I'm like, hey, this is taking me too long to do this. Or maybe is there another way to do it? Or I'll ask myself what I call the 5 whys, right? And that means I'm just going to ask myself why 5 times. Like, why am I here? Okay, why is that? And then why is that? Okay, and then why is that? And usually I can get to the root of whatever something is. And to get to a solution.
Like, my face is like that. Yes. Adjust my shirt. My titties coming out or something? I'm sorry. I forgot. Okay. Oops. Wait, no, wait. That's still kind of open, right?
Yeah, just because from that angle, yeah.
Okay, hold on. What if I lean a little bit more in this direction?
That's making it worse.
Oh, yeah, it does look. Damn it.
Maybe lean in that direction. I know it's going to be a little weird.
Like this way?
Yeah.
Okay, I can do that.
Bring the mic in a little bit more, too.
Should I bring it in so it's kind of blocking? Or?
No, it's not going to work.
Okay.
But
No.
you could.
Do the rest of the interview like this?
All right, let's go.
Okay.
All right. Where were we at?
You were talking about the 5 whys.
Yes.
And then we also, like, how I'm an educator. In one of the classes I teach, when they're writing, because I teach essay writing, but one of the classes, the cause and effect essay,
Right.
I tell them we're about to play a game.
Right.
And then I ask them if they've ever been around a toddler, and I ask them, what's a toddler's favorite question?
Mm-hmm.
The answer is why. And they say that toddlers they ask 500 questions a day.
Wow.
And because they're new, they're brand new.
Okay.
And so I was like, we're going to play the game why? And they're like, this isn't fun. But it's to get to the end solution, because once
Right.
you can't ask why anymore, there's your answer.
Right.
So I like how you just said it like that.
Yeah. We use some of the same tools.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess one question I have for you is, what do you feel like is next? Like, how do you determine what's next for you? Like, what's next for Jade?
I like to, like, so how you said that you have to be okay with all your skill sets and, like, doing all things. I just like doing stuff. I don't set limitations for myself. And
Right.
how you said that 3rd grade teacher did that,
Right.
that made you, like, that was your push. You're like, oh, you said I can't, watch me do it.
Right.
I've always been the, whatever you tell me I can't do, cuss word, watch me do it.
Okay.
And I just do whatever the hell I want to.
So let me ask you this question: what about when you face fear? Like,
I don't know what that is.
So you don't know what fear?
I don't know
So
what
you never had a time where you looked at something and you said, "Man, I just I don't know."
The one thing I do fear ain't got nothing to do with this. Not to do with entrepreneurship, but
Okay.
no.
Okay. So
One of the things, like, when I think about fear, I think about it's because people are terrified about uncertainty.
right.
So, like, even when I say, like, oh, being a broke ass entrepreneur, like, when I lost that income, I used to look at it like a fear. But I always say this, I'm like, God might dangle me on the ground, but he ain't ever dragged my ass across the asphalt. So I
Right.
don't have anything to fear. Like, I'm always going to have something. There's always a cushion.
Right.
So I don't be scared of nothing.
Yeah, I can't say the same thing sometimes. Like
Mm.
I would say that fear for me, I felt at times, especially, and I didn't mention this, like going through the process of going back and getting my MBA, I stopped working.
Mm.
So when I went through that transition of stopping to work, it was a huge just change. I was used to making over $100,000 a year
Yeah.
for almost 8 years.
Hmm.
So I'm just like, how do I go from that to like, okay, I'm at nothing,
Right.
right? So how does that work, and how do I continue doing the things that I've been doing? How do I reshape my life?
Right.
And that was hard. That was a like it made me feel initially like, hey, is am I less of a person or less because I'm having to do something different now? Does this define me? And again, I had to go back to those same questions that I said before about the transitional phase, right? With the trucking,
Hmm.
it was like, hey, I made $80,000. Now I'm at a point again of where I'm saying, hey, I'm not working at all, right? So this has been a huge shift, and I'm like, okay, how do I reset?
Because it makes you feel like a one hit wonder.
Right.
You're like, I got this hit, and now do I spend the rest of my life trying to get another hit, or do I do something else?
Or should I do something safe?
Right.
Should I just play it safe?
Go back to corporate.
Right. Can I go back to corporate and just play it safe
Even
and
if you have a, what do you call it? What type of boss was it?
boss from hell?
A boss from hell. So even if you have a boss from hell, but it's safe
But it's safe
because you know you have the income.
because I had an income. And so many people I feel like can relate to that very topic. I have so many conversations with friends, and even from surveys, I see people feel like they're almost lacking a level of fulfillment in life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not in things that we get fulfillment. It's not in we'll buy everything. We'll go on vacation. We'll take a vacation from life. How do we stop taking vacations not from our life, but make our life our day where we just enjoy it? So when we do go on vacation, it's just something to experience,
Right. I
right?
love it. Like, and that's the thing. I think with being an entrepreneur, having that space where at the point, like I said, I wasn't budgeting anymore.
Right.
I was just living.
You just living.
People like, oh, what do you do for a living? Live.
Live.
Like that was it. And then I was like, I'm like, oh, the money's gone.
Wow.
Like I was still making money, but it wasn't the same amount. So it was like
Right.
back to the budget. But in that in between time, like when you said you had like 6 months where you're like, well, I'm not working, I'm just gonna go back to school. In that time frame, I started running up the credit cards. I said, I'm gonna keep on living life, and I'll get back to this
Right.
at some point.
Right.
And that was like, okay, oops,
Yeah.
I shouldn't have did that.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's not, and I can relate to that because like that's initially what you do. You just naturally, hey, I'm gonna pull out my credit card.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna recover from this because that's part of our hustle. We're gonna always hustle back.
Yes.
But the thing is that it's also going through the having grace for yourself to say, hey, I don't know. I've never had to navigate this before.
Exactly.
And I'm trying as best I can to understand where I am, define where I am, but then also help myself move forward, right? Because it's very rare for people that are entrepreneurs to just say, you know what, I'm just gonna stop.
So where do you get the support though? Like who do you go to? If everyone in your circle is working in corporate,
All right.
and you're experiencing these things as an entrepreneur, and sometimes you have those people who are like, I told your ass not to, they don't
Right.
they don't understand what you're doing, and they're like, you should have just kept your 9 to 5.
Right.
Like, how do you navigate that space, or do you have support? Like, do you feel like you have enough people to back you up when you feel like you're falling?
I think first I had to understand if I was actually falling, and I think this is a hard thing for me to admit.
Mm-hmm.
I think as a person that's been independent like my whole life, as I said earlier in the story, hey, you tell me I couldn't. I'm going,
Right.
and I'm going for it all day long. You're not going. I had a saying, you might can beat me, but you're not gonna outwork me. You're not gonna out try me, and you're not gonna out hustle me, right? You might be naturally more skilled. You might be naturally able to be more inclined to do something, but I'm going to be a fervent challenge for you the whole time. So it's not such thing as laying down.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to realize that also sometimes laying down is and saying, hey, you know what? I've gone as far as I can go with this, or I've done as much as I can do. Knowing what that is also a place of strength, and allowing people to be there to support and to help. right? And if you open up and can be vulnerable, and it took me a long time just to learn to be vulnerable and to be able to trust someone to say, hey, you know what? I'm not okay right now. I don't know what I want to do. I need some space. Hey, you know what? I don't need all the money right now, but if you could send me $200, just to help me out for a couple months, that'll be, that's just what I need right now.
I don't think I've got to that space yet where I can ask people for help.
Well, I think my question that I ask myself, if I don't ever ask for help and I try to pull everything on my own, and if I'm sinking, right? And if I'm sinking, first, my relationship with God is really important.
Yep.
So, and I just have to, when I'm sinking, I'm calling on Jesus. When you're sinking, I'm like Peter getting off the boat. I'm trying. He calling on you. Help me. I'm sinking. Right. So that's me. So, but at the end of the day, that means that also he equipped him with other people around him to support him, and had the faith that people will show up.
Right.
And so I realized that I was robbing other people of the opportunity, right, to show themselves for who they are, because I wasn't asking, I wasn't seeking, I wasn't saying, hey, can you show up for me, and respecting. If they say no, hey, you say no, nothing changed. But if you don't say no, that means that I'm a little closer and a little further along the journey than what I was.
That kind of reminded me. I remember one time I can't even remember the name of the church. It was about a good 12 years ago. But I walked to church. I was like, I needed it at that moment. So I walked into this random church. When it was, service was over, I started walking across the parking lot because I'm going to walk back home.
Right.
And so God he was like, well, let me take you home, sister. I'm like, no, I'm fine. He said, don't you block my blessings. He was like, listen, I need to take you home because that's what I need to do something for somebody.
Right.
So I understand that. Now, I'm going to ask you this question because we're going to continue our conversation on your podcast.
Right.
But before we wrap this one up,
right,
if you had to give somebody a piece of advice so that they could do exactly what you do, but they can't do it exactly like you because there's only one you,
right,
what advice would you give them?
One, own who you are. Accept your good. Accept your bad. Don't deny it.
Hey.
And then the second thing I would say is understand your capacity, and know when to stop. And the third thing I would say, don't let your temporary circumstance define your tomorrow.
I love that. Now I need you to look into the camera and tell everybody where they can find all the stuff about you.
So you can follow me at it's J Alexander on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube as well. And you also can, if you have anything, questions or anything, reach out to me. We do marketing. We do a lot of different things. I do a lot of different consulting work there to help you, service you, and I'm about being of service. So, but Jade, thank you so much for your platform. I'm looking forward to having you, and she's just amazing. If you haven't heard of Jade and Broke Ass Entrepreneur, it is a hit. It's the best. I heard you when you did Justin's session with him, and it was just amazing. Getting a chance to hear his story. I've seen him so many times, and I just admire that. So thank you for even going about doing this and creating this platform, because you're truly special.
Ooh, see, I love you so bad. Thank you.
Thank you
all
so
right.
much.
We're trying to get to 100 million views. That's all. Okay, bye.